Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Black Feather Intuitive. I am Stacy, The Black Feather Intuitive, and we are doing a weekly Dream Team guidance reading for you for January 28th. Oh yes, we have already gotten through almost an entire month of 2019. Go figure that one out. Man, the time flies. Hope you're all having a great week. Let's see what our dream team has to say for us. What do we have to look forward to? I'm doing the Tarot of Dreams today. And let's see what our Tarot of Dreams has to say. And we're calling in the Archangels, Ascended Masters, Highest Guides, Creature Teachers, Elementals, Loved Ones, and Spirit. Oop, this one is screaming at me. All right, dream team. Ooh, the Palace of Swords. So swords is all about the energy of the mind. It's intellect, it's mental energy. And a palace is an environment that we're creating. This is where we live. This doesn't necessarily mean a physical environment. In fact, I feel like this is our internal environment. And so when we're talking about the mental energy, the question I would have for you is, are you in a state of monkey mind? What does your inner house look like? Are you on the hamster wheel? Is everything cluttered in there? Are you thinking and overthinking, overanalyzing? Are you so overwhelmed that there's no thinking going on at all because you just don't even have space in that brain of yours to come up with any kind of clarifying thought? Perhaps you are in a state of where it is a palace and the palace is freaking awesome because you have clarity, you have direction, you're feeling really good about your motivation and where you're going and where you're heading. I'm really feeling like this week in particular, it's really important for us to put our inner houses together from a mental perspective, making sure that our thoughts are in alignment with where it is we want to go. This is something you hear me say all the time. Thoughts become things. This week it's really important, especially because we're moving into the energy of February. We have had a wonderful January in terms of the energy that we've been able to ride on to propel us forward. Now we really need to start to manifest what it is, all those ideas and inspirations that we've had, the things that we've been working on and working towards in January, moving into that February energy. So what state is your mental house in? That is your focus for this week. Making sure that you're clearing out any clutter, anything that is taking up space. Something that I'm being called to share with you. I've said this to a number of clients and also to friends, and I've had to do it myself. When you are moving past the loss of a relationship, and it tends to be a love relationship, but it can also be other relationships that have a dysfunctional edge to them, have a pattern and cycle that is a little bit unhealthy. Oftentimes we're in our head about it. We obsess about that person. We obsess about the situation. And rather than letting go, rather than surrendering to what is and letting go, we go over and over and over again in our heads trying to figure out how to make it work. What I'm feeling here is one of the things that I have shared about that particular dynamic is you have to kick that person out. You have to evict them from the apartment or the house that's in your mind. Evict them entirely and recreate the space. It's time to redecorate. Bring in the energy that you want. Bring in the thoughts that you want to think about. So when you're releasing something or someone that no longer serves you, evict them from your brain. So I'm feeling like that's something that a lot of us are going to need to do this week as well, is do a deep cleaning and a redecorating of that wonderful apartment that is in our mind, that we reserve for the people who live there, the people who we think about often, who are a part of our lives. So pay attention to the inner palace of your mind. Thoughts become things. What kind of things do you want to create? All right. Oh, and so we're doing Kyle Gray's Angel Prayers deck today. My angels were very, very clear that this was the oracle deck I needed to use today. So let's see what we got. See what more, ooh, that one's standing out right there. Unconditional love, the Divine Mother. Thank you, Divine Mother, for helping me to give and receive the love I deserve. So I'm feeling like this is a direct message regarding what I was just sharing. Clearing out the clutter of our minds, making sure that our inner environment is what we want it to be, that our thoughts are directly in alignment with what it is that we want to create. And in order to do that, we need to be unconditionally loving of others and of ourselves. It's so important that we give ourselves the love that we are desperately seeking most of the time from the other people in our lives. I'm also really drawn to her eyes when I look at the card today. They're bright, bright, bright blue. And I find it interesting that the card deck is blue. I almost talked about blue, actually, while I was shuffling it, being drawn to the color, but blue is very important. Oh, we also have blue in this card, Palace of Swords. So blue to me, it means a number of things, but I'm drawn to the chakra system. Blue is the throat chakra. This is finding your truth, speaking your truth, and learning to communicate creatively, learning to communicate in an expressive way. And what I'm really feeling here is there's communication that needs to occur when you are clearing out the clutter and double checking on your internal environment in your mind. But also it's about, are you speaking unconditional love to yourself? What is the inner dialogue going on in your head this week? Is it loving? Is it motherly? Is it nurturing? If it's not, there's an indication that that's something that needs to change. Speak to yourself as though you would want to, speak to yourself as though you would be speaking to a small child who is in pain, or a small child who has fear. I'm not a huge child person, and yet I know, even though I'm not a great kid person, I know that if there's a child who's in pain, even if there's nothing that I can say to them, or I don't have anything to say, I can give them love. I can give them a hug. I can hold space for them. So even if you don't know what to say, even if your thoughts are jumbled and you're not quite sure how to make sense of it, go with the love. Go with unconditional love. Recognize that everybody is doing the very best that they can, including yourself. Change those tapes. If you're saying negative things to yourself, change those tapes. I just showed my age, tapes. Change those thoughts. Change the track, the music that's playing in your mind, and change it to the positive stuff. What would your mother say to you? What would your best friend say to you? If your mother's not a nice person and you didn't get the nurturing from her, what would you have liked your mother to say to you? Use that as your guide. That's your guiding force in life. This is what we're all here to learn. We're all here to love and be loved, to understand what unconditional love really is. And it starts with clearing out the thoughts, the messages that we tell ourselves, what's going on in our brains. Sometimes it's our own voice that is causing us grief, and sometimes it's the voice of somebody else. But it's always in our minds. It's always that inner soundtrack that's playing. So take a peek at your inner soundtrack. Take a listen and see if maybe it's time for a little change. Shift up that playlist. And it's time for a feather. Okay, well, I was drawn to the yellowy green one, but we pulled two. So I've got ground yourself. Ground yourself. And this is sort of an orangey red. Actually, it's like a rust colored. That makes a lot of sense with it being rust colored. When we think of rust, that's a very earthy thing. It's a metallic thing that happens. It's a chemical thing that happens. So I'm really feeling here that in order for you to get your thoughts straight, to get some clarity on that, and really be able to tune into the unconditional love, you need to be grounded. So let's talk about grounding. What is grounding? Grounding is feeling balanced in your mind. Grounding is recognizing that you are on this planet, that Mother Earth provides the ground that you stand on, the trees that provide the air that you breathe. Grounding is feeling stable and secure, knowing that the universe has your front, back, sides, bottom, and top. knowing that clear thought can only come when you are feeling balanced and in alignment and feeling on the ground, feeling like you're solid, that you're supported. So if you are not feeling that this week, take a moment to stop and ground yourself. How can you do that? Deep breathing for a couple of minutes, just connecting to your body, recognizing that you're physically here. Feel your hands, touch objects that are in front of you. Remind yourself that you are here, that this is a physical thing. There's physicality to you. Touching trees, hugging trees. And there is something or petting animals, petting your animals, petting your cats, petting your dogs, communing with nature. There is something very, very grounding. It brings us back to the basics. Also, with animals, it's unconditional love. So that's kind of interesting too. So ground yourself by just taking a moment to bring your heart rate down, pet your dog, give your cat some love, go for a walk, breath of fresh air, hear the birds chirping, see the squirrels running around, just commune with nature. Grounding yourself also, eating things that are of the earth, vegetables, potatoes, browns, blacks, dark things, eggplants, things like that with darker colors. You can ground yourself with food as well. If you're a meat eater, heavier meats will help to ground you and keep you here, keep you where you're at. So that's one message. And then this was the one that I was drawn to. So the yellow feather says fire. And fire, of course, is an element. Fire is passion. Fire brings heat. Fire brings purification. It's like fully, the phoenix on my arm. It's a full phoenix where everything gets burned to the ground, burned to ash, and then you've got this blank slate, and they rise from the ash, and they become better, stronger, faster, smarter. And it's interesting because fire is on a yellow feather. Yellow is all about the solar plexus chakra. That is the seat of our personal power, mastery, identity, and co-creation. What I'm really feeling here, the words co-creation and personal power. When I'm tuning into fire, I'm also hearing purification. So purification of your thoughts, purification of your inner environment, making sure that every thought that's in there is working in alignment with where you want to be. Also with the unconditional love, fire can help you to start fresh. So if you're not feeling that love for yourself, the fire can help you get there. It helps to purify it. It helps to burn those thoughts out that are not loving, that are conditional. Those voices in your head helps to burn those out and help you to start fresh, help you to start new. Also, fire is passion. Where is the passion for you this week? Really tune into what it is that you're passionate about and see how you can incorporate that into this clearing of the mind, making sure that you are in alignment. And so that takes personal power. So I talked about personal power and co-creation. You're in a process of co-creating everything in your life right now, especially when you're doing this spring cleaning out the closet of your mind. There's co-creation happening there. So invite your dream team in, invite that motherly love, that nurturer in, to help show you what needs to stay and what needs to go. And allow that fire to purify those thoughts, and make space so that everything that's in there is working for your highest and best. You're co-creating. You're co-creating what it is that you want this week. Lots of positive energy this week to help move you, shift you into the energy of February. And I'm really feeling like the energy of February is all about, not because it's Valentine's Day, it's the energy of passion. It's the energy of our desires. What is it that we desire? I think last week, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about passion. We talked about embracing desires. I think that was a feather we pulled. It was last week or the week before. I don't always remember what comes through. But anyway, that started things out. That was building a foundation. That was the aha moment. That was the idea. Actually, that wasn't building the foundation. That was the inspiration. That was that moment where you're like, oh, okay, I'm creating this vision. Well, now it's about building the foundation. And in order to build a foundation, sometimes things need to be cleared out so that you can start from scratch. And then you can build from there. And that's what February is about. It's foundational, so that you can really step into those passions and figure out how you want to manifest them into your life. Great messages from our dream team today. Love that. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Hope this was very helpful for you. If you're interested in any kind of clarity reading, you've got some questions that you're concerned about in your life, just kind of wanted a sneak peek, trying to figure out where things are at, maybe needing some guidance on how to manifest those desires that you've discovered this past week, feel free to reach out. My website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com, my Facebook page, The Black Feather Intuitive. Also feel free to like and message me on the YouTube channel. Always am there to lend a helping hand, to offer some advice, and obviously to be of service. So let me know how I can do that for you this week. Take care, and we'll see you next time.